Sunday. For tomorrow, look for mostly cloudy afternoon with a high reaching 64. For Sunday, could be a wet one with scattered showers on and off and a high temp of just 55. Looking ahead, next week will be sunny and warm. Have a great weekend. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
Ooh, I like when you press that one.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornbluth, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on sportstalksc.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. Friday. So happy that it's here. It's going to be a busy weekend with everything going on, basketball, baseball. Looking forward to it. Of course, next week, you know what comes back next week? College football. Of course, we've got some teams which have been practicing in the spring, but Clemson brings it back next week with spring practice beginning for the Tigers. Of course, South Carolina will begin their spring practice after their spring break in mid-March. Phil Kornbluth, Pat Daniel here at our Columbia studios at the Point Radio in downtown Columbia. Chris Bergen joining us from Little Rock, Arkansas. Coastal Carolina in action tonight, trying to wrap up the regular season with a W and have some momentum going into the tournament next week in Florida. I was over at USC a little while ago for baseball. The Gamecocks are hammering George Washington 12-3, bottom of the sixth. Gamecocks having it all their way so far, 12-10-0 for the Gamecocks. They have left 7, 3-6-2 for GW. So the Gamecocks well on their way to a win, as is Clemson. The Tigers getting some great pitching. Caden Grice has hit a homer for the third straight game. They are up on Hartford in the top of the seventh by a score of 6-0, 6-7-0 for the Tigers. They've left 5. The Hawks 0-2-1. They have left 5 as well. We'll stay on top of those games, as well as others around the state, the SEC and the ACC. And basketball-wise, getting ready for South Carolina and Alabama. Really, you might consider it in some way an NCAA tournament play-in game, because the winner is still going to have a chance. I think the loser tomorrow will have a real hard time getting into the NCAA tournament unless they make a run through the SEC tournament. But the winner tomorrow is going to have a chance. It's going to be in the conversation. After tomorrow, I think if South Carolina wins that game tomorrow, Chris, that'll be 5 wins in a row, and they'll be 9-7 in the league. I think they get into the conversation then about the bubble talk, and maybe like, one of those last 4 out or second 4 out or something like that. But you got to get to that point before you really get into the serious conversation.
Well, and that's assuming, Phil, and I think it's a fair assumption. And the way the Gamecocks have played of late, I wouldn't put anything past them. But let's assume they're not going to go to Auburn and win the season finale on senior day at Auburn, and with everything that would be going around and them playing for a top national seed moving forward. So let's assume they don't win that ball game. I think you're right with the Alabama contest. It is a huge ball game for them in a place they have just never had a whole lot of luck, especially with Frank Martin as head coach. Maybe the worm can turn a little bit. They got the worm sort of started to move, maybe not full 180 degrees, but at least 90 degrees the other night when they blew out Mississippi State. And quite frankly, Phil, in a game that the final score was a lot closer than the contest was, if they could carry some of this momentum and get a good win on the road in Alabama, I think you're right. They may move into, now that we start watching these bubble teams start to fall by the wayside, they may move not to the next 4 out, but maybe the next 4 after that, the next 8 out, if you will.
Alabama, a team that high expectations coming into the season. They're having a good year. They're not having a great year, but they have picked things up here of late. They have won 4 of their last 5. That one loss not going to be held against them. That was at Kentucky, 90-81. They can score. They are a really good 3-point shooting team, as Mike Morgan pointed out last night, not a great defensive team. So that's kind of the key for Alabama is shooting threes. They shoot a lot of threes. So 3-point defense will be important for South Carolina tomorrow. You have to be careful, too, of course, with 3-point shooting teams, and you see it, Chris, the long rebounds that come off of 3-point shots. You've got to maybe, South Carolina is one of the best rebounding teams in the SEC and nationally. They really do a good job on the defensive glass, but maybe you have to adjust some things with so many 3-point shots that are going to be fired up. You got to be aware of those long rebounds coming off those misses.
And those lead to runouts, even for South Carolina, if they could get a couple of long rebounds to get their fast break game going. And we've seen Jermaine Cousinard is a lot better when he is in the open floor and can create. And conventional wisdom would tell you that if you've got a good 3-point shooting team, the last thing you want to do is zone that team because of what you just pointed out. And plus, you are susceptible to outside shots. But I think the way the Gamecocks play their zone and with their length, especially up towards the top, if they run something similar to what Coastal likes to use, that 3-2 zone, I think that might actually be effective against Alabama and certainly will allow them to get out on those shooters in the perimeter. And then one thing they've got to do, I think the Gamecocks probably have maybe a little bit of an advantage inside if Taquan Woodley continues to play well. Hammer the ball inside and make them play a half-court game. Alabama would much prefer to get up and down and run and shoot threes in transition. And as you pointed out in that Kentucky game, get the game up in the 80s and 90s. South Carolina can score. I don't know that they want to play a track meet with Alabama tomorrow. If they could get it more in a half-court game, I think I like their chances a little bit. I'd love to see them play a good bit of zone against Alabama. I don't know if Frank Martin wants to go that way. That's sort of against his DNA. But to his credit, he's realized that he's got a team that can play some zone defense. And I think tomorrow might be a chance to display it a little bit on the road against Alabama.
Yeah. So Alabama, interesting team. I mean, they've got a good team. They've got some bad losses in there. Now, 4 of their 10 losses have come to Auburn and Kentucky combined. No shame in losing games to those two, but they've got a loss to Georgia on their record. That's hard to explain. They lost to Davidson back in December. Davidson's, a good mid-major, but if you're Alabama, you don't expect to lose that game. They have got a loss to Missouri, which has been struggling this year. So they've got some head-scratching losses on their record, but they're a good team, and South Carolina's going to play one of its best games, a complete game on the road at a place where Frank Martin's never won since he's been at South Carolina. Been a tough place for them over the years. I would imagine there'll be a good crowd. It seats 14,474. Imagine be a good crowd there for that one tomorrow afternoon. Game has Crimson Tide has a couple of state connections on their team. Of course, Noah Gurley is a starting forward, 6'8". He's a transfer from Furman, averaging 7.5 points and about 4 rebounds per game. He was a much bigger scorer at Furman before he took that step up to the SEC. And then you got Juwan Gary, Columbia native, the guy South Carolina recruited, redshirt sophomore, 6'6". He's averaging 7 points, about 3-4 rebounds a game, averaging about 17 minutes per game. So a couple of connections there to the state as the Gamecocks prepare to take on Alabama tomorrow. Meantime, Clemson goes up to Boston College. Tigers, they feel good about themselves today, coming off that win, surprising win over Wake Forest the other night. They're 13-15, 5-12 in the ACC. Boston College, 11-16, 6-11. So, a couple of the bottom feeders here, Chris. Really, Clemson playing for pride now for the rest of this basketball season. I mean, they've got, statistically, they've got a chance to get back to the 500 mark, and the schedule is light the rest of the way. BC tomorrow, and then Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech at home to finish it up. So they could get to the ACC tournament a game over 500, but that's not going to, it's not going to get them really anywhere. I don't even think the NIT with the kind of record they're going to end up with.
Well, and that's the problem now. Or if you like, postseason basketball, maybe it's the right way to approach things. The NIT field, to me, is much deeper than the NCAA tournament field because they don't take automatic qualifiers. You won't have a team that won 14 games during the season, got hot, won its conference tournament from a one-bid league, and is in the NIT. They only take really, really good teams because if a team, say, from the Sun Belt, it looks like Texas State is going to win the Sun Belt Conference. If they don't win the tournament next week, they've got an automatic bid into the NIT, and this is the team that's going to win 20-some-odd games. Mm-hmm. So Clemson and South Carolina, they don't have the NIT anymore really as a safety net. I even think the Gamecocks bubble, they're probably on the NIT bubble right now. But I don't think either one of those teams have that as a safety net anymore the way they did, say, 5 or 6 years ago. So Clemson's only postseason opportunity is if they run through and win the ACC tournament. Of course, something they've never done. So, why not? Why not this year for them? Any word though? I haven't seen anything. Any word on PJ Hall's availability for tomorrow?
Have not seen anything on that yet. They put out a release about an hour before the game, so we'll find out probably tomorrow afternoon. I'm sure he's going through as much rehab as he can get to get a chance to play tomorrow. So I have not seen anything on that at this point. All right, our phone number is 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number here on Sports Talk. If you have something you want to talk about in the sports world, now's the time to stand up and be counted. Since 2002, more than $6 billion in South Carolina Education Lottery proceeds have been used to support South Carolina educational programs. Learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at seeducationlottery.com/education wins. And playing for fun is a win for education. We'll catch you up on some notes, catch you up on baseball as well. After the break, be right back.
Sports fans, are you in it to win it? Join South Carolina's fight against COVID-19 by getting your vaccine today. Vaccines are safe and will help stabilize school operations by bringing us back together safely. The CDC recommends everyone 5 years and older get vaccinated. Visit scdhec.gov/VaxLocator or call 866-365-8110 to find a vaccination station near you. Stay tuned. More Sports Talk is coming up on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Show your team pride wherever you go with Founders Federal Credit Union's collegiate debit cards. Get your University of South Carolina and Clemson University debit cards at any Founders office or by calling 1-800-845-1614. Plus, our debit cards are digital wallet ready, so you can pay however you please. Not a member? Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our 37 convenient locations to see if you qualify for membership. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Phone calls in just a moment. Let's update things. 6-0. Clemson leading Hartford. They're playing in the bottom of the 7th up at Duck Kingsmore Stadium. Tigers having their way today, and offensively, Grice has a 2-run homer. Corbett has a couple of hits for the Tigers. On the mound, Anglin, 5 strong innings, a hit, 6 strikeouts, 3 walks, no runs allowed. Talent and Dill have followed him to the mound. And then as far as South Carolina and George Washington, 13-3 Gamecocks now in the top of the 7th. Big offensive day for the Gamecocks, 11 hits. And Braswell's got a couple. Wimmer's got a couple. Eister's got 4. He's got 4 hits. He's having a 4-for-4 day. Couple of RBIs. Gamecocks have not hit any homers today. GW's hit a couple of homers. Belk's got 3 hits. Good day for him as he kind of picks things up a little bit. Not make that 2 hits. 2 hits for Belk. So the Gamecocks, they got the bats going. Sanders remains on the mound. They're stretching him out a little bit. 6 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, all earned. He has struck out 4 and walked 1. So,
how many more games do the Gamecocks have to play before people stop pitching to Andrew Eister?
Yeah, he's now batting .583.
And I'm going to say this one more time, Phil, and I'll let it go because it is never going to change. And I realize I'm beating a dead horse. But why does this game still need to be played for 3 more innings? There's nothing you can convince me to tell me that old school baseball needs to go 9 innings when it's a route like this. And GW's already used 3 pitchers in game 1. So you're already setting yourself up, excuse me, knowing you've got a doubleheader tomorrow where pitching is going to be at a premium anyhow.
Because you need to get 27 outs.
I understand.
Okay.
I get it.
Don't mess with the formula, okay?
It's unnecessary.
Don't mess with the formula. You want to play 7-inning games? Go to high school or go to softball. Go to softball.
I think college baseball would be improved by going to 7-inning games because you're not looking at 4.5-hour ball games. You're not looking at contests.
That's as anti-American as it gets. What you
well,
got, Pat?
I'm sorry.
Hey, guys, I'm not sure if we've seen a walk-off win yet in the state. And if we have not, we are just witnessing our first right now. The Citadel just had a walk-off single right to give them an 8-7 victory over Villanova. It was Sawyer Reeves for them. That just happened in the last 30 seconds or so. So congratulations to the Bulldogs.
Good start this season for the Bulldogs. Yeah, they win at 8-7. Give you some other scores. North Carolina beating East Carolina 5-2 in the 7th. Northern Kentucky over Mississippi State 7-3. I mean, this is where you just don't know. Northern Kentucky's 0-3. Mississippi State's Mississippi State. They're number 3 in the country. They're losing at home 7-3. They've only had 3 hits in the bottom of the 7th. Baylor is
heavy as the head that wears the crown, right?
That's right. Baylor 4-0 over Duke in the 7th. Georgia Tech 12-0 over Gardner-Webb in the 7th. Liberty beating Winthrop 6-1 in the 7th inning. There's a cute little video out. Kevin Cohen was showing it to me. A cute little video of Liberty displaying their new uniforms. If you get a chance, look it up. It's well done, well choreographed. Upstate 21-7 on Manhattan, top of the 9th. Georgia 1-0 on Akron, top of the 7th. Charleston Southern looking for his first win, beating Delaware State 12-5. They're in the 8th. George Mason shutting out PC 2-0 after 6. Coastal over Rutgers 8-6. They're in the bottom of the 5th. Kentucky 14-2 over Western Michigan in the 5th. Notre Dame 10-0 over Marist in the 6th. Tennessee 15-1 over Iona. They're in the 4th. Is that another one that you think should be stopped? Should they be?
Well, what do you think?
Should they stop?
I mean, how can
because there's always a chance for a comeback.
Yeah, right. All right, I'll put my mortgage on my house that Tennessee wins that game today.
And Florida State and Samford are scoreless in the top of the 2nd. Should we stop this one too?
No.
They're scoreless in the top of the 2nd. Is it time to call that one?
Softball has established a pretty good opportunity where they realize games get out of hand and there is no need for a comeback. I think you get to the 7th inning and you're up by 10, like Carolina is this afternoon. Game should be over.
Disagree. Except in tournament play. You know, they do have the run rule in tournament play.
Okay, so why is it viable then, but it's not viable during the
because you got to
season?
squeeze in a bunch of games. Like the SEC tournaments, you got to get 4 games in a day. You can't have a game that takes 7 hours. Because the team wins 23-2.
Oh,
because the other team's out of pitching.
What about your theory that the team that's down 21 runs could come back?
Well, theoretically, they could. Theoretically. All right, let's go to the phone calls. 888-898-2525 is a number. Should mention that the USC women won last night. Big.
That should have been a run rule game, too.
At Texas A&M, yeah. Aaliyah Boston, 20 in a row now, double-doubles. That's incredible. I mean, she should be the unanimous National Player of the Year. I don't think there's anybody close. Really no. With that in mind, let's go to, it's Hank in Columbia. Hank, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
I'm doing fine. It's nice you to get just making sure you get your news notes straight. You know, I know you would probably skimmed over the whole show.
Why do you? Like you like to say, you're throwing shade on me here, okay? I haven't said the first thing bad, and you're throwing shade at me. Okay, go ahead.
I waited for the news notes. I said I'm gonna wait for the news notes.
Didn't even get to the news notes before I mentioned the USC women.
Nah, you went through all that. You went through you told us Schenectady was up 3-1 on Anchorage, Alaska.
That's important.
Oh, wait a minute now. Game. I don't need to inform you that the USC women won last night. Everybody knows that. I'm giving you current. We believe in currency.
That's notes. I didn't say you said story on it. I just said you're supposed to mention the notes. And the USC won. They won the SEC. They won the SEC.
That was a given. That was a given.
Outright.
Given.
No, you gotta, like you said, you have to get 27 outs. You got to play all the games.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
You have to play all the games.
And that would be the sixth time in 9 years. Sixth time in 9 years that they've won the SEC. 7th time in 9 years that they've won the SEC championship.
Well, just like in Alabama, I don't think they ever get tired of winning titles in Alabama in football, so we'll never get tired of those girls winning titles.
That's right. We love women's sports at South Carolina.
Well, I mean, I saw the day that we played Tennessee, Oregon had a sold-out crowd of almost 12,000, and LSU had a crowd of 14,000. So not only is here in USC.
That's great.
Phil, I would bet
That's great.
fans are jumping on board with that softball program they built in a hurry, too.
Yes, they have a very good softball program, and they become nationally elite, and I think they draw good crowds to their games, too. That's great. I got no problem with it. I'm happy. I'm happy about it.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
You're painting me. You're painting me with the wrong brush.
What do you think is going to really end up with this Mickelson deal as it goes into the PGA? I know that's throwing you a huge curveball.
No, it's good. That's not a curveball. It's a slider on the outside corner. What I think is going to happen, I don't know. As far as first of all, when's Mickelson coming back to play? Number two, how's he going to be treated in the clubhouse? I mean, does he have to go and ask for forgiveness from all these other players? Number three, how's the public going to treat him with the comments that he made about the Saudis and, putting money, apparently putting, the perception, the perception was he put money ahead of human rights and everything else. So how are people going to react to him? Those are things he's got to deal with.
Well, Phil, this is the thing with him and Mickelson now. People get on, people got all over, and rightfully so, got all over Tiger about his indiscretions, but this isn't even the first thing with him. Remember, he had the I can't remember, it wasn't a betting scandal, but it was the illegal investment thing.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
Years ago.
That's exactly right. And he's had his gambling, his gambling issues. I don't want to say issues, but he's been public about his gambling. He's been on shows before where he's talked about how much money he's put on the Super Bowl and things like that. But, people just reacted by saying, that's just Phil being Phil. That's just the way he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he might have really stepped in it big time this time. He might have really stepped in it big time this time. So because he's biting the hand that feeds him. Why would he go? Why would these guys, and Greg Norman too? I mean, look, and George Bryan will be with us. He can share more with us on the PGA Tour, but the PGA Tour has been awfully good to these people, awfully good. They've become millionaires many times over because of the work of the PGA Tour. And the PGA Tour has put millions of dollars into charities in every community that it's been in. So I don't understand what their gripe is, to be honest with you.
I don't know. I know Mickelson's losing sponsors by the droves right now, so he's gonna have to get playing pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Just to make up some of this money. But I just wanted to throw that out there, and thanks for the little clip of the news note.
Thank you. I'm glad we informed you. I guess you weren't aware that the USC women won last night. I'm glad we were able to inform you and that they won their 7th regular season title in the last 9 years. Thank you, Hank, because I don't want you to be out in the cold when it comes to USC women's basketball news. I'm glad, Chris, that we could provide a public service of informing him of that information.
Absolutely. I thought Hank was plugged in to everything Gamecock athletics. I can't believe he missed maybe the most important story of the week so far from them.
He must have fallen asleep during the game. Quickly, before we get to what game did he say that we reported on? Somebody against Alaska. Schenectady against Alaska Anchorage. That's good. Bobby and Casey, take us to the top of the bottom of the hour. Welcome in. How are you?
Hello, Phil. Hello, Chris. Hello, Pat.
Hey.
Hey, Bobby. How you doing?
One baseball score you missed. It's on the Longhorn Network. Alabama at Texas, 0-0, top of the 4th.
Got to go back and put that on my list. How'd I miss that?
And
I was looking at that Schenectady, Alaska Anchorage game. That's the problem.
Yeah. And one big news note out of SEC football today. Help me with the pronunciation. You're a professional, Phil. Scarmello, the quarterback's coach from San Francisco, is now a Coach Stoops at Kentucky as an offensive coordinator.
You're stealing my news notes.
Yeah, well, it was talked about on another national show today.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he was frustrated that the brass with the 49ers can't make up their mind between Trey Lance and Garoppolo.
Yeah, apparently
So
they're
he
not
just
so
got-
quick to want to trade Garoppolo like they were. Everybody thought at the end of the season that was his last game with the Niners, but apparently they're not so quick to want to trade him right now. Hey, thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you for stealing our thunder. We'll continue with your phone calls here as we come up after the bottom of the hour break. Corey Jenkins. Remember Corey Jenkins? New head football coach at Dreher High School. Former Gamecock, former NFL linebacker, quarterback with the Gamecocks. We'll continue after this break. Be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's your weekend forecast. Cloudy tonight with a low dropping to 47. Much cooler tomorrow and Sunday. For tomorrow, look for mostly cloudy afternoon with a high reaching 64. For Sunday, could be a wet one with scattered showers on and off and a high temp of just 55. Looking ahead, next week will be sunny and warm. Have a great weekend. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Imagine a hot, fresh pizza just the way you love.
Oh, baby. At Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers, we're all about the love.
Our pizzas start with hand-tossed spring water dough. We then add the freshest toppings and bake it all
with love, baby.
Salads, hoagies, and beer from around the world, too. Come enjoy the taste you love at the Mellow Mushroom in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington.
With love.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting Ukraine's top diplomatic envoy in the U.S. is urging countries to sever diplomatic relations with Russia over its invasion of their country. Ambassador Oksana Makarova's request came in an emergency meeting at the Washington-based Organization of American States. Its members were debating a resolution condemning the military attack ordered by President Vladimir Putin. Alexander Kim, a senior diplomat at Russia's embassy in Washington, told closely to the Kremlin's unsubstantiated claim that the military incursion was an attempt to denazify a government that had committed scores of atrocities against civilians. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 834 points to 34,058. The Nasdaq rose by 221, with the S&P 500 up by 95. More details at srnnews.com.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Oh, good, you're home. I need your help.
Doing what?
Replacing our old light bulbs with these new energy-efficient LEDs.
Where did you get these?
Dominion Energy. I ordered direct from their online store. LEDs for every room, all at huge discounts.
Oh, really?
Yes, really. And my 15-bulb order got us free shipping.
Sounds too good to be true.
See for yourself at DominionEnergySC.com.
Where?
DominionEnergySC.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
So you've heard there are a lot of great jobs in HVAC, plumbing, and welding, but you aren't sure how to break into the field. Midlands Tech has your solution with the Quick Jobs Scholarship at Midlands Tech. This scholarship covers the full cost of training in these high-demand fields. We're talking a full-ride scholarship getting you the training you need for great-paying jobs in as little as 5 to 6 months. Go to midlandstech.edu and search for the one-word title, Quick Jobs. That's midlandstech.edu and find the one-word title, Quick Jobs.
Everyone knows that here at The Point, we are all about supporting local businesses. We are all about local, local, local. You cannot get more local than my friend Greg McCoy and his business, Simplified Mortgage Solutions. Fran Halloran here. If you're buying a home or you're looking to refinance your current home, you owe it to yourself to call Greg. He is the real deal. You can expect Greg to treat you like you are his only client. You can expect Greg to scour the market to find you the best rate available. You can expect Greg to charge you a fair price for his work and his service. Why would you deal with some national company headquartered in who knows where when you can do business with Greg? Need further persuasion? Okay, I didn't even mention the good Greg does in our community by supporting local charities like Blue Star Mothers and Camp Chemo. Come on, you need to call Greg. online at simplifiedmortgagesc.com, or you can call Greg at 803-722-6044. That's 722-6044.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced but just can't find the time?
Call Absolute Glass, voted Lexington's best glass shop for 12 years in a row.
We repair and replace glass on all makes and models.
We're the only local high-end auto glass specialist in the Midlands, and we'll come to you to make the process quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
Back we are, Sports Talk on a Friday night. Good to have you with us. Phil Kornblut, Pat Daniel here in Columbia. Chris Bergen in Little Rock, Arkansas, where it's still cold, but he's indoors. Got basketball tonight, Little Rock and Coastal. Give us a quick preview of this one as the Shots close out the regular season. This is a game, at least on paper, they should win, and perhaps if they're up by maybe 20 or so with 10 minutes to go, they should just call the game.
I think that'd be a great idea. No, if Coastal's up 20, that would be a change in the script because they played a ton of tight games this season. But this is one that you're right on paper, Phil, should not be all that competitive. Little Rock, if you look at their team this year, I'm not sure there's another team in the country, excuse me, that has had more difficulties with injuries than these guys have. They've had 11 players miss a combined 129 games. They've started 16 different lineups heading into play tonight, which is, believe it or not, tied for just third nationally. And Coastal held them to just 49 points back when these two teams met in Conway just about a month ago. So should be an easy win for Coastal, but again, on the road, senior night and all that kind of stuff. But I can't imagine there'll be a very big crowd for a team that's 8-17 and playing to stay out of the cellar. They can finish either 11th or 12th in the Sun Belt. Meantime, for Coastal, they can finish anywhere from 6th all the way back to 9th, depending on what happens tonight in the league. And looking forward to the conference tournament. But chatting with Cliff Ellis earlier today, he really likes the way his team is starting to come together and play a little bit better. He feels confident with this team moving into the conference tournament next week. They may play much more of a bigger lineup at times. They've rarely run both their centers out, Isam Mustafa and also Deshaun Thomas on the floor at the same time. They've started to do that here of late. And Coach Ellis believes that may be the secret weapon they need to make a run next week down to Pensacola.
All right, South Carolina heading out to play Alabama tomorrow, around the SEC tomorrow. Besides that ball game, you have got Florida at Georgia, Vanderbilt at Mississippi State, Kentucky at Arkansas. That should be a good one on CBS. Texas A&M at Ole Miss. You have got Auburn at Tennessee. That should be a good one, 4 o'clock on ESPN. And Missouri at LSU. So, I mean, look, South Carolina's got to take care of their own business. But if they win tomorrow, the Gamecocks will be alone in 5th place in the SEC behind the Big Four of Auburn, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Tennessee. Now, who would have thought that just a little while ago?
Really
they would be
remarkable.
right there. Yeah. I mean, you gotta credit Frank Martin and these guys for coming together at the right time and making it happen. Now they got to go win on the road, and they got to beat a quality team at their place. So we'll see what South Carolina can do. If they lose, well, they'll drop back to 8-8, depending on what happens behind them. You know, they'll be in 6th place or maybe a little deeper. So tomorrow's a huge game for them, just a huge game really for this season. It can really set the table because if you beat them, you're 9-7. You come home, you've got a poor Missouri team. If you don't take your eye off the target, you can win that ball game. Now you're 10-7, and you are 19-10 going to Auburn. All right, nobody's going to give you that you're going to beat Auburn. But still, that would put you in position to finish 5th in the league, depending on what else happens around the league. So huge game for South Carolina. Cannot emphasize enough how big that game is tomorrow for the Gamecocks.
And we were chatting about the three-point shooting of Alabama real quickly. Phil, I pulled up their stats. I was just curious. You talked about how many times they like to shoot the three. I'm not sure any team in the country has shot more threes through this juncture of the season than them. 832 three-point attempts. They don't shoot it all that well.
Right.
That's the interesting thing about them. They're only 31% from three-point range as a team. So if the Gamecocks, the one thing they can't get discouraged by is if they hit a couple. They're going to make some threes tomorrow because they take so many. I mean, math tells you they'll make one out of every three thereabouts. So you just have to keep your head down and continue to play. But I really like that zone that South Carolina has played here of late. I think that might be the secret weapon to maybe neutralize some of those three-point shots tomorrow.
Alabama's 7th nationally in three-point field goal attempts, number 1 in the SEC. The leader nationally is Eastern Kentucky with 972 three-point attempts.
Is Furman on that list in the top 10 still?
I'd have to go look. I'm just looking at Alabama's breakdown.
I got you.
Alabama's also good blocking shots. They're 18th nationally. That's why I kind of had a feeling they played some decent defense, at least inside, but perhaps overall they're not that solid defensively. But they can block shots. They're pretty good with their defensive protecting the defensive boards. They get to the foul line a lot. They are 22nd nationally in attempts and 23rd nationally in free throws made. And South Carolina's still up there as far as fouling. They're not, they're still among the worst teams in the country fouling. Alabama hits the offensive glass well. They're 8th nationally, number 1 in the SEC in offensive rebounds. 2nd in the league in scoring at 80 points a game. They're going to get their points more than likely. So this is a team that rebounds well, shoots a lot of threes. They do turn it over some now. Both of these teams turn it over. They're 12th in the SEC in turnover margin, and they are 10th in the SEC in turnovers per game at 14 per game. And, South Carolina's had that problem too. So this could be a game of turnovers. I don't think South Carolina should or will rely greatly on the three-point shot. I think transition baskets, like you talked about, the long rebounds, getting out in transition. But how well is South Carolina going to protect their defensive glass because Alabama's such a good offensive rebounding team?
And speaking of those three-point shots, Phil, not only is Furman represented in the top 10, the Southern Conference is. You've got Western Carolina 3rd most three-point attempts, Furman 4th, and the Citadel 5th.
That's good.
So if you play in the Southern Conference, you better be able to shoot a three.
Yes. Furman, though, they're kind of slipping. There was a point there when I thought they were going to run right through the Southern Conference, but they lost the other night. They sort of lost their edge a little bit. The other games around the ACC tomorrow, besides Clemson at BC, and that's a 3:00 game, you got North Carolina at NC State. You got Virginia Tech at Miami, Florida State at Virginia, Georgia Tech at Notre Dame, Duke at Syracuse, and Louisville at Wake Forest. And, of course, all next week, you know what next week is. Next week is K-Week around the ACC. Last 2 regular season games for Krzyzewski, including the final one at home against North Carolina on Saturday. That's going to be I would love just to be in Durham, just to be outside Cameron. There's going to be people camping out who can't even come close to getting inside. But it's going to be some kind of atmosphere around Durham, North Carolina all next week, and especially on Saturday when North Carolina comes to town.
Think we could get media credentials for Pat, you and myself?
I've gotten them before. Buddy of mine, Art Chase. You know Art Chase, don't you?
Yes, I know Art very well. Used to work at PC.
Art's a great guy. Well, he was the basketball SID there at Duke going back a few years ago. And I told him one day, I said, Art, it's about 10 years ago. I said, Art, kind of getting up there. And I said, one of my dreams in life is to go to a Duke, North Carolina game in Cameron, not in Chapel Hill. I wanted to go to one in Cameron. Just so happened, I think this was the year North Carolina won the national championship. They were really good. They had Raymond Felton, that crowd, and I think they were really good. And he got us in. He put us up in the crow's nest up there where the broadcast crew is. So not like we had luxury seats. Now, I've been to games there before as a media person when Clemson played there. But I wanted to go just as an observer for a North Carolina game. And it wasn't senior night either. It was they had the first game of the year between the two. Yeah. Really wanted to go for a senior night. But anyway, it was really cool to take in that atmosphere and experience a Duke North Carolina game in Cameron. So Duke's going to finish up. It's pretty interesting how this lined up. So they're playing at Syracuse tomorrow. His really close friend Jim Boeheim. In fact, I saw a story where last night Boeheim was doing his radio show, and the moderator took a phone call and said it was Mike from North Carolina, and it was Krzyzewski. Krzyzewski called into Boeheim's radio show last night, and so they'll play each other, and then they go to Pitt, where his former assistant coach is the head coach, and then they'll finish up against North Carolina. So looks like Duke's got a team, though. They're capable, and they will likely be. Don't you think they'll be in Greenville for the first two rounds?
I would think so. Absolutely think so. You know they're going to try and keep Duke as close to their home base as they possibly can, and that'll be a good thing for Greenville because if Duke's there, you know they're going to have a great turnout.
It's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. Really loved it. And it was special because when South Carolina went through in their Final Four run, it was also special because you had Duke there and you had North Carolina and you had who else was there? I think Arkansas and Marquette was there. But having the three teams from the Carolinas made it really special because the place was packed for all the games. And Greenville did a fantastic job. They did a fantastic job of hosting. They'll do a fantastic job of hosting once again in a couple of weeks. You know, when Columbia hosted that one time, the city of Columbia did a fantastic job of hosting the NCAA men's first and second rounds. And I would hope that this city would get another shot at it. They said the hotel situation is a bit of a drawback for the city of Columbia when it comes to that sort of stuff. Yeah, not enough hotel rooms. And not enough hotel rooms close enough to the arena, that kind of stuff. So
Greenville's got the perfect setup with the Monteguro Wellness Center sitting right downtown, and all the hotels are right there around it. But I thought Columbia was a really good setup as well. I mean, what are we talking? You have to walk a mile from the Vista to Colonial Life Arena.
I mean, I'm just telling you what they tell me. But they did a great job of taking the convention center, which is 500 yards from the arena, and turning it into the Fan Fest area. And we did the shows from there, and it was great. They did a great job, and they put in for it. They got passed over the last time they handed out locations. So maybe next time Columbia will be fortunate enough to get one. It's gone final up at Tiger Town. Clemson beats Hartford 6-1, 6-7-0 for the Tigers, 1-5-1 for Hartford. Clemson goes to 5-0 on the season with the win. They'll play two tomorrow. In fact, Clemson and USC are moving up their schedule to play two games tomorrow because it's supposed to be rainy on Sunday. So Clemson will play Hartford twice tomorrow. South Carolina will play GW twice tomorrow. And South Carolina leads George Washington right now 13-4 in the bottom of the eighth inning. The Gamecocks have not hit a home run in this one. They do have a couple of triples. They do have a couple of doubles. The rest are singles out of their 12 hits. And so they're having a big offensive day and a good pitching day for the most part. Sanders went 7 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, all earned. He allowed 2 homers, 3 extra base hits. He threw 87 pitches, 54 for strikes. Of course, he'll be the starter a week from tonight in Columbia when the Gamecocks take on Clemson. It's going to be a heck of a series, Chris.
I think so, too. And one thing, look at the box score a little bit deeper and the patience. Mark Kingston talked during the offseason. He felt like he had a team that would not strike out nearly as much as the one did last year. How about 9 walks drawn, just 3 strikeouts? Gamecocks doing a much better job, at least early in the season, I think, of taking some bad pitches and then swinging at the ones that are in the strike zone. They had so many bad strikeouts a year ago. I think that really hurt their offense. But so far, now you're not going to get 9-10 walks a game you wouldn't expect. But a lot more patient approach at the plate, at least certainly for today.
Want to see the battle next week between Eister and Grice.
Oh, that's going to be excellent. That'll be a lot of fun for the weekend.
Who's going to bring the lumber between those two? How are you going to pitch if you're the opposing pitching coach? How are you going to call pitches against those two guys who are so locked in right now? All right, going to hit a break on Sports Talk. You want to join us? 888-898-2525, the number. Back in a moment.
I learned that people are just looking for somebody to listen to them. You can't just start cutting somebody's hair and you're going to be quiet the whole time because you're not going to be in business long.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has provided over $800 million to help students attend technical colleges across our state, investing in a new generation of entrepreneurs, just like James. Your passion is our purpose.
You're listening to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. We're back in a moment. Touchstone Energy cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
All right, Pat, got you in an error tonight if you want to go ahead and set the record straight. Thanks to our good friend Andy.
Yeah, appreciate it, Andy. It's always good to be held in check. I made it a point to pose the question earlier, and we were celebrating the Citadel having that walk-off win today to improve on their undefeated season in baseball. I can't believe I forgot the young stud for the Gamecocks, freshman Michael Braswell, last Sunday night. Not only did he help pitch in the made his collegiate debut pitching in the 10th inning, but then he also had the walk-off hit to win the game. So he had himself one heck of an opening weekend for the Gamecocks. So my apologies to him for forgetting that. But, Andy, appreciate you keeping us in line, buddy.
Kid looks like the real deal. Plays with a lot of fire and emotion. Like today, while I was there, he had, was it a triple or did he go from first to third? Can't remember. But when he got to third, he kind of got up off the dirt after he slid in, dusted himself off, did a little kind of a little dance on the bag sort of thing. Plays with a lot of chutzpah, a lot of spark, which is good. You want to see that in your players. A lot of confidence. So I think they've got a nice, young, developing gym there in Braswell, and obviously a very talented player. Love watching him play shortstop. He can go into the hole. He can pick it, and he's got a very, very strong arm. Speaking of a couple of things here related to baseball, want to remind you about what's coming up. First of all, tomorrow, if you are into the card business, Embassy Suites off Greystone Boulevard tomorrow, the Midland Sports Card and Memorabilia Show. They're going to have over 60 vendor tables, 35 different dealers from the Carolinas, Georgia. Current and vintage cards will be available, single cards, wax boxes, complete sets and card supplies, as well as USC and Clemson memorabilia, all for sale. The Midland Sports Card and Memorabilia Show begins at 10 in the morning. It ends at 4 in the afternoon. Free admission and free parking for everybody. That's the Midland Sports Card and Memorabilia Show at the Embassy Suites. That's off of Greystone Boulevard, Saturday from 10 to 4. Make sure you get by there and enjoy what should be a great, great day for those of you who love that kind of stuff. And also, of course, a week from tomorrow, going to be, of course, the Battle at Bull Street in Columbia, part of the Base Brawl for It All weekend, South Carolina, Clemson, South Carolina. And the Fan Fest will begin there at Segra Park, presented by Discover South Carolina, at noon. The gates of the park open at noon. First pitch is set for 4. Fan Fest is free, open to the public, and a ticket to the game, of course, is required. They'll have a clear bag policy. It's a cashless venue. Food and beverage, including alcohol, will be available for purchase. They'll have 4 local food trucks. Tokyo Joe, the band, will play a couple of sets, 12:30 and 2:30. There'll be an appearance by a Harlem Globetrotter at 2 o'clock. So fun and games for everybody. And tickets are still for sale for the Battle at Bull Street. If you have any questions and to buy tickets, the website is battleatbullstreet.com, battleatbullstreet.com. All right. Now, Chris has left us now to go take care of his business with the Coastal Carolina Basketball Network. So let's update a few other major notes of the day for you as we look over our Founders Federal notebook. Reminder that Founders Federal, they have mortgage notes as low as 2.33%. So give them a call today. USC coach Shane Beamer, the schedule came out today from the SEC for Media Days, which will be in Atlanta in July. And Shane Beamer on the schedule for July 19th. And he will share the stage, different times, of course, not all together, with Nick Saban, Mike Leach, and Clark Lee. So, look, anytime you're there when Saban's there, if you don't come the day part that Saban's there, that's okay. If you're on the same time he's there, you're going to be lost in the shuffle pretty much. And with Saban there, it's going to bring a big crowd. Not as big as it would have had it been in Hoover. This is in Atlanta at the Football Hall of Fame. So that's the Tuesday schedule, July 19th. It begins on Monday. They'll be there on Tuesday. The Panthers are bringing back tight end Ian Thomas on a 3-year deal. Joe Person reporting. And he says he's easily the team's best blocking tight end. Airport High School has a new head football coach. He comes from River Bluff, head coach Andre Cook, moving over from River Bluff to Airport High School as the new head coach. He is the father of one of the great names in high school football, Apollo Cook. Or is it Apollos Cook or Apollo Cook? Wide receiver there at River Bluff. Let me double check the name. That's Apollos with an S. Really good player. I wonder if he'll move over to Airport with the dad. So he's taken over that job. And as I mentioned earlier, Corey Jenkins taking over the job at his alma mater of Dreer High School. Also back to the Panthers. Pro personnel director Matt Allen leaving. The teams have decided to part ways. Joe Person reporting, according to team sources. Allen was one of the few remaining holdovers from the Jerry Richardson Super Bowl regime. In fact, Allen is Richardson's grandson. I did not know that. Did you know that? I did not know that. Pete Thelmel reported, as Bobby called in earlier, Rich Scangarella has agreed in principle to a 3-year contract to become Kentucky's next OC. 49ers QB coach, former Broncos OC. So they really like their OCs to have some NFL background too, apparently, because that's been what they've been hiring there at Kentucky recently. To the Braves, Liberty Media CEO Greg Maffei said on a conference call today the Braves have sold their most season tickets since 2000. Brave CEO Derek Schiller previously told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution the team has sold its most overall tickets in well over 20 years. And also, the Braves, of course, are trying to work on a deal here with Freddie Freeman to keep him in a Braves uniform. He wants 6 years. They've been stuck on 5 years, and that continues to be a bone of contention and a point of conversation there for the Braves. How about this from the NCAA? And, Pat, I'm going to have you chime in on this as an expert on all this because I don't know anything about it. As the NCAA continues to give the athletes, their pro athletes now, more and more benefits, the NCAA changing its marijuana testing policies. The Committee on Competitive Safeguards and Medical Aspects of Sports raised the THC threshold and recommended a reconfiguration of the penalty structure for their athletes who test positive for THC. So this is where I need your help, Pat. They're raising the threshold from 35 to 150 nanograms per milliliter. So, I mean, like, what will be the effect on the brain if you had been capping out at 35 from your experience?
Sure.
If you had been capping out at 35 nanograms per milliliter, but now you can cap out at 150. Like, what kind of buzz are you going to get off the 150?
Well, I may be good at math, so I can tell you that mathematically is 5 times the amount, but scientifically,
I'm talking
I know
about from
nothing.
experience.
Oh, okay. So I lived in Massachusetts where marijuana is legal, so that makes me an expert on the subject.
That's great. That's great. Now, here we go. I mean, that's got to make you higher than you were under, and it'll be allowed now. So, I mean, how many professional college athletes will be coming in with a buzz when they get ready to take the field? They'll be coming in their Mercedes-Benz and their BMWs, in their $350 suits and with a nice high going on as they step in. And the new rules say now, the first time you test positive, really nothing happens to you except they talk to you and tell you and educate you. The second time, you can lose 25% of your regular season contest if you were not compliant with the original management and education plan. A third test will cost you 50% of your games. We'll be back.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. President Biden has nominated Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to serve on the Supreme Court to replace Judge Stephen Breyer.
President Biden formally announced U.S. Circuit Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson as his choice for a seat on the Supreme Court, marking the first time in history a black woman has been named to the nation's highest court.
Judge Jackson deserves to be confirmed as the next Justice of the Supreme Court. I've met with the chairman and ranking members of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and my hope is that they will move promptly, and I know they'll move fairly.
Judge Jackson thanked the president.
I am truly humbled by the extraordinary honor of this nomination.
Jackson serves on the Federal Appeals Court in Washington, D.C. She was confirmed by the Senate last year for the appeals court. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
American University Supreme Court expert Stephen Wermiel says Jackson will face Senate GOP opposition.
Partly because it's a Democratic pick, and so the Republicans need to, put down their marker, and partly because they will argue that she was too liberal.
More fears about Russian aggression in Ukraine that has killed hundreds in the beleaguered country. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg called on Moscow to stop its military campaign on Ukraine.
Moscow bears sole responsibility for the deliberate, cold-blooded, and long-planned invasion. We condemn Russia's aggressions in the strongest possible terms and call on Russia to immediately cease its military action.
On Wall Street, the Dow up by 834 points to 34,058. The Nasdaq rose 221. The S&P 500 advanced 95. Oil down to 91.59 a barrel. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful in lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question. Pete and Seth Talbot, the father and son founders of Relief Factor, tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best ingredients, 100% drug-free ingredients that each help your body deal with inflammation. Order the 3-week quick start now. Discount it to only $19.95 to see if it will work for you too. Call 800-500-8384. ReliefFactor.com.
This week on RVER, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
Hey, Chief, we got a damaged RV on its way to the OR.
Well, that sounds like a job for the new head of RV surgery.
Wait, are you promoting me?
Congrats, Martinez.
Doctor, that RV's flatlining.
Well, that sounds like a job for the new head of nursing.
So you're just promoting everyone now?
Yeah, kind of looks that way, doesn't it?
When your RV really needs saving, Progressive has you covered. See if you could save with a leader in RV insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, covered subject to policy terms.
There's more data showing how hard inflation is hitting American consumers.
The Commerce Department's Personal Consumption Expenditures Index, or PCE, jumped 6.1% in January compared with January of a year ago, the largest year-over-year rise since 1982. Excluding volatile food and energy prices, core inflation increased 5.2%. The PCE is closely monitored by the Federal Reserve, which has set a 2% target for inflation. Still, consumers appear to shrug off the higher prices last month, boosting spending 2.1% from December to January. Ben Thomas, Washington.
A leading Democratic senator says he thinks the Biden administration could ask Congress for $10 billion or more to finance the U.S. response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Senator Chris Coons is chairman of the Senate Appropriations Subcommittee that controls foreign aid. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's your weekend forecast. Cloudy tonight with a low drop in the 47. Much cooler tomorrow and Sunday. For tomorrow, look for mostly cloudy afternoon with a high reaching 64. For Sunday, could be a wet one with scattered showers on and off and a high temp of just 55. Looking ahead, next week will be sunny and warm. Have a great weekend. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point. Ooh, you shouldn't have pressed that button. Oh. Now you get this.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
We are back, hour number 2 on a busy Friday night. Glad to have you with us. Phone number 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. And we are open for some phone calls. Normally, Brian Ralph would be with us, Ralphie on round ball, but he is off on a family venture tonight, and so not available. We'll get him back with us next week as we head into the last weekend of the regular season for the major programs. Of course, there'll be conference tournament games taking place next week, and we'll be keeping a watch on that as well. So we do have more time to take your phone calls right now. 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. It's gone final in Columbia as well. Of course, Clemson won its game a little while ago. The Gamecocks had finished off GW, George Washington, 13-4. Final score, and the win goes to Will Sanders, 2-0. And the final line, 13-12-0 for the Gamecocks. They did leave 10, and it was 4-6-2 for GW. And seeing a story here, a tweet from David Cloninger from Mark Kingston. No worries about Sanders, who gave up a couple of homers today. He said they asked him to be efficient with a doubleheader tomorrow, so he did not try to pick the corners. So they wanted him, obviously, it makes sense. They wanted him to go as deep as he could to save the pitching, since they've got a doubleheader tomorrow. And the Gamecocks only had to use 2 out of their bullpen after Sanders went 7. So, and he did it efficiently with 87 pitches. You can't ask really for much more. Tringali pitched an inning, and Coyne pitched the last inning. So they'll have plenty of arms ready to go. Do not know the starter for that third game tomorrow, the last game of the doubleheader. That's to be announced. Hicks will start the first game of that doubleheader tomorrow for the Gamecocks. So Clemson wins 6-1 over Harvard over Hartford, 6-1 over Hartford, and South Carolina 13-4 over George Washington. Other baseball, the Citadel defeats Villanova 8-7. So the Bulldogs go to 4-0. North Carolina beat East Carolina 7-4. Northern Kentucky. Now, Mr. Bergen, too bad you're not listening. So Northern Kentucky was boat racing Mississippi State. You might would have called that game after 7 innings. But here's Mississippi State has come back. It's 7-6 Northern Kentucky in the bottom of the 8th. Don't be surprised if the Bulldogs find a way to pull that thing out.
And Phil, I'm with you. As long as college continues to use aluminum bats, and as long as you see teams like this, once you get their starters out of the game, Mississippi State is attacking that bullpen right now. And with the metal bats, I mean, you can put up a lot of runs in a hurry.
Absolutely. Well, go back to South Carolina, Greensboro last Sunday. Yeah. Gamecocks were left dead in the water, like in the 7th inning or 8th inning, once Greensboro pulled their starter, who was handling the Gamecocks. All of a sudden, they started hitting the ball against the bullpen, had a dramatic rally, and won the game.
grand slam in the ninth inning, if I remember that correctly.
2-run homer and a grand slam.
Wow, there you go.
Baylor beating Duke 4-2, top of the ninth. Georgia Tech 14-0 final over Gardner-Webb. Liberty beat Winthrop 8-1. That's a final. Upstate defeats Manhattan 21-7. Had 20 hits on the day for the Spartans. Akron and Georgia scoreless. They're in the top of the ninth. Charleston Southern beat Delaware State 12-5. Kentucky leading Western Michigan 14-2 in the eighth. Coastal leading Rutgers 13-9. 13-12-2 for Coastal. 9-5-0 for Rutgers. Coastal seeking to go to 4-1. This is the Carolinas Coastline Classic. George Mason leading Presbyterian 4-2. That's in the bottom of the eighth in Clinton. Notre Dame 17-0 over Marist in the top of the eighth. Tennessee 21-1 on Iona in the bottom of the sixth. And you had a note on this game?
I sure did. Wes Rucker reporting from up there in Knoxville. Vols senior third baseman Trey Lipscomb threw 5 innings tonight. 5 for 5 with a home run, a triple, 2 doubles, a single, and 9 RBI. And for those keeping score at home, that's a cycle. So he hit for a cycle in 5 innings, and the Volunteers are currently winning 21-1.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. All right, and let's see what else do we have here. Florida State 3-0 over Samford. Yale and Auburn are scoreless. Harvard, good to see my alma mater is playing baseball. Scoreless with Miami, bottom of the first. Florida 2-1 over Georgia State, bottom of the second. And let me see if I can find that Alabama Tennessee game. Where are we at here? Alabama, Texas.
It's currently, I'm looking at it right here, the top of the sixth that is still scoreless. If this is up to date, at least. This is via d1baseball.com.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. All right, and a few other notes to share with you. Got recruiting coming up as well. Plus, we'll have Jeff Owens in the fast lane and George Bryan III, birdies and bogeys around South Carolina. All that coming up. Go back and give you a few more notes. Founders Federal Notebook from this Friday. I mentioned the story on Freddie Freeman, David O'Brien from I think he's from The Athletic, covers the Braves. He said if the Braves were to sign Freddie Freeman to a 6-year, $170 million deal, they would owe $310 million total over the next 6 years for 2 of the National League's top 10 players, Freeman and Acuna, and a 2-time All-Star second baseman, Ozzie Albies, assuming options exercised on Acuna, Albies. Total AAV of $51.7 million for the trio. You think the Braves want to go that deep in the bank account?
Remember, they're the only Major League Baseball team where all of their financials are public. And so we're kind of seeing behind the lens, so to speak, about their financials. And obviously, all these teams took significant losses in 2020, but they also, if we're using Atlanta and kind of expanding upon that, extrapolating from that, the rest of Major League Baseball, a lot of money was made in 2021. And they mentioned today that they have sold 100% of all their premium seats for the 2022 season. Again, I'm on the side of the fence where it's hard for me to fathom that they cannot find the extra money there to pay Freddie Freeman. If the rumors are true and that it's just the difference is that he wants 6 years, they only want 5 years. It's just difficult to fathom that they cannot find the financials to make that work.
Some happy ground in between there that they could find.
Sure.
Our not so popular poll question of the week only drew 143 votes with 3 hours to go. The question was, generally speaking, how would you describe the approach of today's sports media in the coverage of their teams? 69.2% of 143. How many is that? 69.2% of 143.
Oh, gosh. Offhand, I don't know, about 110, 115?
Yeah, they say too soft. The media is too soft. 18.9% say the media is just right. 11.9% say the media is too tough. What do you think of those responses? I mean, I think they're probably dead on, the fact that the vast majority have a perception of the media that cover their teams as being too soft with the people they cover, I would say you are certainly right about that. And you would say?
I think I would agree with you there with that premise, but I think that an issue, and hopefully this comes across correctly. I think a lot of people are facing kind of fear right now of repercussions to ask those difficult questions because of the pushback you get. I don't really want to say an opinion one way or the other for the interaction between you and Coach Beamer from the other night, but even there, just seeing our Twitter timeline and all the negative comments there, when quite frankly you were asking a hard question, whether people will agree with it or not. I would be willing to take it a step further that a lot of people in our positions are somewhat fearful of asking questions because of the negative repercussions via social media.
You're right. You do expose yourself. And if you're not willing to take the feedback and the heat, then you shouldn't be in the business. You know, if you want to be in the business the correct way, you want to be in the business because you are a fanboy and because you are working for a website or you have a podcast and you're able to get access, and now you can be close to your heroes and you get free access to them and free access to the games. If that's what you're using it for, so be it, you know. But you're in there actually to do journalism and to cover a team accurately and honestly and without passion. I mean, that's part of it. You're supposed to cover the team that you're assigned to. You shouldn't care if they win or lose. All you care about is telling the story of why they won or lost. And if you're afraid to ask questions, then you're in the wrong business. And if you're afraid of silly Twitter trolls, then you're in the wrong business as well. All right. There's a lot of people out there on Twitter who got nothing better to do than, to slam somebody. I'm not talking about me. I could care less, but anybody, just because they don't like a question or because they have a dust up with their favorite coach or something. All they got to do is run to Twitter and say, that guy's an idiot. He's stupid. Boycott him. He needs to go, et cetera, et cetera. You have to ignore those kind of morons, which we do here on a regular basis, because they carry no weight and they carry no influence, with us or anybody else that I know of. I don't know anybody in this business worth their salt who gives a rip what somebody says, unless it's there's constructive criticism and then there's just plain hate criticism. And, you shrug off the hate criticism. Constructive criticism, I take to heart. Somebody got something they want to say that makes you better at what you do. I certainly pay attention to that.
Absolutely. I mean, going back to the first hour tonight, I made a mistake. And
an egregious error.
Egregious error. And Andy called in and corrected me, and I'm more than happy to make that correction. I want to know if I make a mistake. If we say something or do something wrong, by all means, correct us.
We're not hating on Andy for it.
No, of course not.
We're loving on Andy for it. All right, let's hit the break, and we'll come back with recruiting, and then we'll get the latest on NASCARs. They've gone back out to the West Coast. A little crazy NASCAR scheduling, man. That's got to be tough on the teams. You're out there for the Clash, and then you're back over here for the 500, and now you're going back out there to race at Fontana. We'll get Jeff's take on that. Jeff Owens in the fast lane coming up, too. Be right back.
We're with Major Billy Downer of DNR. Of course, South Carolina is great for the hunters, Major. What do the hunters need to remember before they get out in the fields?
It seems like every other show we're talking about hunting safety of some sort. One thing we want hunters in this state to remember is always identify your target and what lies beyond it. Make sure before you pull that trigger that you know what you're looking at. Whether it's a turkey during turkey season or a deer during deer season, you know your identifying features of your game. You know what's beyond that target in case you miss.
Learn more about the great outdoors in South Carolina with Major Billy Downer on SC Wild here on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Stay tuned. More Sports Talk is coming up on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Time for recruiting here on Sports Talk, brought to you by Seawells, the very best in the catering business. The good folks at Seawells, SeawellsCateringSC.com, and their phone number 803-771-7385. Hope you got out to Seawells today for the big roast beef Friday buffet presentation. Always delicious, and they'll have their daily lunch and buffet for you beginning on Monday of next week. Every day, 11 till 2. It's only $12, and you will not walk away hungry. If you walk away hungry, that's your fault, not their fault. The food is out there aplenty, and you can help yourself. Seawells, across from the State Fairgrounds in Columbia. So offensive tackle Monroe Freeling from Oceanside Collegiate, been very busy with basketball. Going to wrap that up here soon. They're in the lower state finals of the 3A tournament on Monday. Of course, football recruiting swirling around him. Tells us he's going to visit Clemson on the 5th, Miami on the 28th. More visits to come, perhaps, but none have been set up. New offensive line coach at Clemson, Thomas Austin, making him feel like a priority. They've been talking quite a bit. Smooth transition between Robbie Caldwell to Austin for Freeling. No trouble there. He really likes Thomas Austin a lot. He picked up another major offer Wednesday from Ohio State. He did not see that one coming, but they are now in on him, and he's interested in Ohio State. Not having a whole lot with South Carolina. He said a few texts back and forth with the offensive line coach, Greg Atkins, but has no plans to visit South Carolina at this point, but he'll see if that changes. Along with Clemson and Miami, and now Ohio State, he's also hearing a lot from Notre Dame, Michigan, Virginia, Penn State, and he is staying open regarding when he'll make his decision. USC target free safety Vicari Swain was offered by Indiana. USC target offensive guard DJ Chester offered by Kentucky. USC and Clemson target defensive tackle Jordan Hall offered by Ole Miss. USC Clemson target offensive tackle Zechariah Owens offered by North Carolina. USC target cornerback Jeremiah Anglin offered by Penn State. USC offered receiver Malik Benson, 6'1", 185 of Hutchinson Junior College. He earned All-American honors last season with 43 catches, 1,229 yards, 11 touchdowns. Georgia, Miami, Kansas State, Baylor, Iowa State, Houston, Kansas. Some other offers. A native of Kansas, Justin Stepp, just recently contacted him with the offer. That's the first time they had communicated. Linebacker Josiah Trotter of Philadelphia named the top 5 of Clemson, USC, Penn State, West Virginia, Virginia Tech. Of course, his brother's at Clemson. Defensive tackle Keith Sampson updated his top 5, which is now USC, Clemson, Florida State, Ohio State, and NC State. USC offered running back Caleb Hicks of Denton, Texas. USC target defensive tackle Stephilian Green was offered by Auburn. Clemson target cornerback Braxton Myers offered by Mississippi State. USC target 2024 defensive tackle Heaven Brown Schuler offered by Texas A&M. USC target running back Dalen Smothers was offered by Alabama. There you go with recruiting. Don't forget to check it out over the weekend on our website. We'll have more stuff going up there. Of course, that's SportsTalkSC.com on Twitter. Use the hashtag STRecruiting.
Love it when it's forward, love it when it's fast, love it when the leaders talk, the pack is moving past, love it when they're making lots and lots of noise, can't wait to hear these W's say. Boogity, 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 let's go racing, boys! Let's go racing, boys. Love it when they're drafting, love it when they slide, love it when the back's straight, throttle's open wide, love it when they're making lots and lots of noise. Can't wait to hear these W's say.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys. Boys. Let's go racing, boys. Everybody, let's go racing, boys. Back to California. Let's go racing, boys. We welcome in Jeff Owens in the fast lane here on Sports Talk. Good evening. Great to have you with us once again.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Well, I think we're better off than the drivers for those NASCAR trucks because not the truck racing trucks. I'm talking about the haulers because California 1 week, Daytona the next, now back to California. That's got to be tough.
Yeah, that's a lot of miles. Those guys are going to be wore out. And Fortunately, well, some of them, I guess, will have to come back and then go back to the West Coast because the next 3 races are all out there. So some of them have got 2 haulers, but yeah, they're going to be racking up a lot of miles over the next few weeks.
What'd you think of Daytona?
I thought it was a pretty good race. It was kind of what we've come to expect out of Daytona. You know, we had some wrecks early. Then things settled down for a while, and they rode around a little bit, and then it got wild again at the end. I thought the last 30, 40 laps were really good, and once again, we wind up with a surprise winner. So I thought the ending of it was great. You had some new guys up front battling for the win, and I thought it was a pretty good race. And NASCAR's got to be pretty happy. They had a sold-out crowd, and TV ratings were the highest they've been in 4 or 5 years. So I think overall it was a good weekend for them.
What should we know about Austin Cindric?
Yeah, interesting story. Yeah, I mean, you know, I say that was a surprise victory, and it was, but I mean, this kid's the real deal, and he grew up around racing. He was groomed to be this kind of guy. His father is the president of Penske Racing and has been for a long time. His grandfather used to own an IndyCar team and won the Indy 500. So he's a kid that has literally grown up around racing. Started racing when he was really young. Has driven and raced a lot of different cars. So he was, you know, he's been groomed for this spot, and he did really well in the Xfinity Series. Won a championship a couple of years ago. I think he won 11 or 12 races in the last couple of years. And they put him in that number 2 car that was made famous, of course, by Rusty Wallace and then Brad Keselowski. And he sure lived up to the reputation last week. So I think, you know, it's pretty amazing for him to win his first race at Daytona and his second Daytona 500 start. But he's a guy I think we're going to be keeping our eye on, and a guy that we're going to be talking about for a long time.
I know it's just one race, but should Chevrolet be concerned by its showing at Daytona?
Yeah, no, not really. You know, the one thing we know about Daytona is you can pretty much throw it out the window when it's over. It don't have a lot to do with the rest of the season. These next 3 or 4 races are where we're going to really figure out where everybody is. You go to a 2-mile track in California, then you got a 1.5 miles at Vegas, and then the flat 1 mile at Phoenix. We'll learn a lot about the new car and who's got what over these next 3 weeks. I don't think Daytona really matters at all.
You have a feeling that NASCAR can build on the momentum from the Clash through the 500, and now we go into the rank and file races. I mean, the long grind of the regular season. Can they build on the momentum here early on and see better crowds and continuing to increase the ratings?
Yeah, we'll see. That's a big question, Phil. They've gotten off to a great start. You know, that race in LA was pretty successful. They drew a pretty good crowd for that, and now they hope that will carry over to this weekend at California Speedway, which is about an hour away from LA. From what I understand, they had a pretty good crowd today for practice and some of that stuff. So we'll see. This is a big weekend for them. They need to draw a good crowd at that racetrack and show that going to that LA market for that first race really made a difference. And they've got some momentum coming off of a good Daytona 500. So we'll see. You know, they need to go out there and have another exciting race, and that race doesn't need to be a dud, which it often has been at that track. So it's certainly a key weekend for them, and it'll be interesting to see if they can sustain that momentum.
All right. Got about 90 seconds. What are the keys to racing out there, and who do you like?
Yeah, this track is really worn out. It's an abrasive racetrack, so that's going to be a factor. Tires are going to wear out. They've already put some resin on the track in the turns to try to help them gain a little bit more grip and help with passing a little bit. So it's a tough, abrasive racetrack. I think, you know, and nobody really knows what's going to happen with this new car. I mean, it's, you know, they raced at Daytona, but like I said, you can throw that out the window now. we'll see. I mean, I think your top teams are going to have the advantage, and really the only thing you can do with this weekend is look at the guys who've run well there in the past. And you start with a guy like Kyle Busch. He's won 3 races there, 3 of the last 6, I believe. So I think he's probably the favorite. Martin Truex Jr.'s got a win there. Alex Bowman at Hendrick Motorsports won this race 2 years ago, and of course they didn't race there last year. So I think you take a look at those guys, and that's where you start.
As always, we appreciate it. Great stuff. Have yourself a terrific weekend, and we'll talk to you next Friday.
Okay, guys, have a great weekend.
Thank you. Jeff Owens, he's as good as they come at knowing what's happening. Even though he's not on the beat anymore, he was on it for long enough to know everything about it. We appreciate him sharing the insight with us here on Friday nights on Sports Talk. We'll be back after the break. Don't go away.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's your weekend forecast. Cloudy tonight with a low dropping to 47. Much cooler tomorrow and Sunday. For tomorrow, look for mostly cloudy afternoon with a high reaching 64. For Sunday, could be a wet one with scattered showers on and off and a high temp of just 55. Looking ahead, next week will be sunny and warm. Have a great weekend. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
You've waited to start the big project at your home. Wait no more. All Southern Construction is the local family-owned and operated group to make your dream a reality. We do home additions, sunrooms, decks, and porches. We can also do shingle or metal roofing, and our work is guaranteed. Whether it's a repair or a brand new addition, All Southern Construction will be with you from start to finish. Online, find us at allsouthernconstruction.com or give us a call at 206-4816. That's 206-4816.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting. The Biden administration wants Congress to provide $6.4 billion for an initial U.S. response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. That's according to 2 people familiar with the request. One person says the money is mostly for military and humanitarian assistance to the region. The money would go to the Defense and State Departments and for the U.S. Agency for International Development, which distributes civilian foreign aid. Smaller amounts would go to the Treasury and Commerce Departments, which will apply economic and financial sanctions against Russia. Administration officials discussed the request Friday in a conference call with congressional aides. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 834 points, the Nasdaq rose 221, the S&P 500 advanced 95, oil down to $91.59 a barrel. More details at srnnews.com.
If you're like me, you're sick and tired of seeing these old TV stars, game show hosts, these athletes telling you how to save money on your Medicare and on your health insurance. These national toll-free numbers are overwhelming us. It's not that people don't need the service. They need good local customer service, not big box toll-free numbers. See, I work directly with Tim Hanberry right here at Medicare Blueprint in the Midlands. When it comes to my family, I want the best family plan. I'm not even on Medicare, but my mom is. So here's what I do want. Someone local to serve as my advisor on the plans and choices that I have, and someone to help mom with her Medicare. I want someone to help me pick the right plan, save me as much money as possible by knowing all the rules of the game. Medicare Blueprint starts the process with you. They will see it through. They answer all your questions. They call you back. It's the same folks helping you start to finish. Tim and his team are independent. They fight for you, not the insurance company. Online, it's MedicareBlueprint.com or call them 708-7398.
When you're a military veteran with over 40,000 organizations trying to help you, it can be hard to find the right information. That's why AARP brings together valuable resources to help you navigate your options. AARP.org/veterans. With the free veteran employment and fraud prevention resources, caregiving tools, and access to discounts, AARP, on a mission to support veterans. Visit AARP.org/veterans today.
Hi, honey. Were you able to drop by Tree Pharmacy today to pick up Mom's medications?
Yes, she sure is on a lot of meds.
I know. That's why I go over so often, to help make sure she's taking them correctly.
Well, I have great news. The pharmacist at True Pharmacy said he can pre-pack her medications into individual doses.
Wow. Knowing she's taking the right meds at the right time will give me great peace of mind. But how much does it cost?
That's the even better part. It's free. Just another great service they offer at True Pharmacy. True Pharmacy, 2 locations, Charleston Highway in West Columbia and Divine Street downtown.
Hey, it's Jay with the Melting Pot. So this is the time of year when we try to be responsible and plan out the next 12 months. I'm not good at it either, so let's work on this together. Go and grab your calendar, whether it's on your phone or on your refrigerator. Find your anniversary, your best friend's birthday, your kid's birthday, your spouse's birthday, graduation day, and write in Melting Pot. We're the premier special occasion restaurant in the Midlands, the Melting Pot.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services, and let me help you through your tax maze. I can help with all your tax resolution issues. There are options to get you back on track. Call Capital City Professional Services, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
Thanks to Jeff Owens for being with us tonight. George Bryan III, normally here for birdies and bogeys. We're letting him play through. He just notified me he's down in Florida at the tournament there in Tampa, the Honda Classic. Now, Palm Beach Gardens. Is that Tampa? Is that more Miami? I'm sorry. I think that's more Miami area. Anyway, bad cell service, not a real good connection. So we'll let him just play on through. We'll get back to George next week. We will update the second round. Daniel Berger, big day, 65. He's 10 under. Chris Kirk, 68. He's 7 under. Kurt Kitayama, 69. He's 7 under. Mark Hubbard, 6 under after a 64. Adam Stevenson, that's 65. He's 6 under. That's the top of the board. Then you've got William McGirt, a 72 under. You've got Brooks Koepka, 72. He's even. Lucas Glover's +1 after a 72. Matthew Neesmith, a 70 is +2. Ricky Fowler, a 70 is +2. Bill Haas, a 72 +2. Tommy Fleetwood, 74 +3. Kyle Stanley, a 74, 5 over. Martin Keimer, a 67, but still 5 over after a 78 in round 1. Doc Redman, a 71 +6. Wesley Bryan, who had a 68 yesterday, blew up to a 79 today. So he's 7 over. And Patrick Reed, a 79 as well. He is +9. Cut's going to come in projected at +2. So some of those folks we're just talking about will not make the cut, like Kyle Stanley and Doc Redman and Wesley Bryan. That's the way things stand there at the Honda Classic. And let's see, South Carolina Clemson, winners today in baseball. We'll update some of the other baseball scores for you here in a little bit. We got time for phone calls, surprisingly. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. If you want to join us here in the last half hour of the show, we got time to take on more of your phone calls. And let's see if I had any other notes I wanted to update. I think I might have touched on everything that I had been looking at. We haven't talked about if the season ended today in the ACC for basketball. So Clemson would be the 13th seed as it stands today and would play Pittsburgh in the play-in round up in Brooklyn. The winner of that game would get the number 5 seed, Wake Forest, the next day. So your 4 automatic qualifiers, so to speak, who get the double bye, Duke, North Carolina, Notre Dame, and Miami, as things stand today. So Clemson right now would be the 13th seed. But the Tigers do have a chance to win 3 more games with a game at Boston College and then Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech. This is interesting, as somebody tweeted. Georgia Tech has a chance. This might be a record. Georgia Tech has a chance to go from winning. Remember, they won the ACC tournament championship last year. And right now, they stand to finish last, to be the 15th seed. How often has a team won the tournament championship one year and the very next year finished dead last? Maybe never. Maybe never. And Georgia Tech's just having one of those years. I think they had some of their key players back. Now, I haven't followed them that closely. I don't know if they've had a bunch of injuries or what, but they are definitely having an awful year. ESPN, one thing that they do well, one of the few things that they do well, the 30 for 30s. They're going to do one on Greg Norman's collapse of the 96 Masters. That should be fantastic. It looks like it's going to be one of those things, the Michael Jordan series that was done by who did that series? Was that ESPN? Yet it wasn't ESPN. Where you have the people sitting down in the chairs to be interviewed, and the camera shot, kind of shows them sitting down or squirming and all that kind of stuff. Looks like you're going to have that kind of a deal here with Greg Norman, who, of course, is also in the middle of that controversy with the Saudis. But ESPN debuting April the 5th, of course, leading into the Masters at 8 o'clock. Shark will premiere. The film will feature Norman looking back on the final round collapse in 96. He blew a 6-shot lead to Nick Faldo in excruciating fashion. It really was. I mean, if you want to watch somebody die on a golf course, figuratively, not literally, that's what it was. And this should be really good. This should be really good. Yeah, of course, ESPN has the first 2 rounds of the Masters coverage as well. It's par 3 contest, so this will feed into all of that. But this should be an outstanding 30 for 30. They'll intercut the shots from that day and comments from various golfers and other stuff. So that should be really, really good. Looking forward to that. Always get excited this time of year when the golf scene moves to our part of the country. In fact, I didn't tell you this. I'm playing in a major on Monday. Listen, I don't like to brag, but I am self-anointed South Carolina's media golf star. I rate myself, number 1 among media golfers in South Carolina. I can't prove it. I can't go out there and back that up, but I can say it. So we have a major on Monday. We're playing Harbortown. The media outing for the RBC Heritage is Monday at Harbortown. So I'll be there for that. Kind of help the PGA folks set up the holes for the big guys that'll be following in April. That's kind of what we do. They actually use us to help mark the out of bounds markers because they can see how far the ball can travel out of bounds, and they can say, put a marker over here, put a white stick over here. I'm kidding, Pat. You're just kind of taking it like I'm being serious.
This day and
I'm
age,
just joking.
I struggle to tell when you're joking and when you're serious, Corn.
But
it's all good. Hey, I wanted to back up just a second. You were mentioning Georgia Tech because, talk about a fall from grace. They were top 4 in the conference regular season, won the ACC tournament. Yes, caught some people off guard, but one thing that's contributing to them in their struggles this year, remember the NCAA violations that came against them back in 2019. They had a postseason ban in 2020. They were going to be a loss of 1 scholarship per year until 2023 and a ban on recruits attending home basketball games on official visits. But then they appealed that. And late last year, they actually won their appeal and they were granted back the ability to have recruits attend home basketball games. But they do still have the loss of that 1 scholarship per year, if I'm reading this correctly. And let's keep in mind, the damage is already kind of done. Once you have these violations levied against your program, that's going to be ringing around the minds of all those recruits that you go visit. So we can see their recruits and how that's been negatively impacted. And that just goes to show what 1 or 2 good or bad recruiting classes, the damage or help it can provide your program.
Absolutely. All right. You want to take the phone call? Who we got?
Yeah, sure. We are going to welcome in Jamie from down in, speaking of the Heritage, Jamie's going to tell us all about it down in Hilton Head.
Oh, Jamie, I'm so jealous you get to stay in Hilton Head. Welcome into Sports Talk. How you doing?
I hear you, my friend. I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, the Heritage is a big cocktail party. The golfers really come down there, and I'm being serious here. It's the week following the Masters. Okay, so the golfers come down to Hilton Head, and the pressure's off. They have a good time down there.
Now, where do you go? Do you hang around? Do you go to the tournament, or you get out of town?
Not much. I don't go to the tournament much. I don't really get out of town, but I don't go to the tournament much either because you can see it so much better on TV.
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
You know,
where are you on? Are you on the island or where are you?
Yes, sir, on the island.
Nice. Nice.
Yes, sir.
Well,
Yes, sir.
I'll stop by and say hello when I'm down there.
I hear you. I hear you, friend. That'd be great. But I called you for a couple of reasons tonight. You're Mike Morgan. I enjoy listening to him, but I have to disagree with him when he said that February baseball is not very important. They are all important when it comes to baseball because if you're trying to get to 45 wins, you need all of them you can get. I mean, I'm just throwing 45 as a number out there, but that's what USC and Clemson's kind of used to, going to the tournament, maybe going to Omaha every now and then. If you need a good run, you need every ball game you can get. I mean, I hope this doesn't happen, but now Clemson is 5-0. If they can get one tomorrow, they'll be 6-0. And let's say exit tomorrow 6-1, win their midweek game, they'll be 7-1. Even if they were to lose 2 out of 3 to USC, they would come out of that 8-3, and they'd be okay. You follow what I'm saying?
I do. Absolutely.
And same thing for Carolina.
Yeah. Look, it's become so competitive. It's become so competitive that every win is crucial. That's why, take, for example, the mindset of South Carolina, had they lost that game to Greensboro Sunday, they'd be 1-2. I mean, still early and plenty of time to recover. But instead, they're 2-1. They won the midweek game 3-1. They won today. They're 4-1. Looks a lot better, and it makes you feel a lot better, and you get you some momentum going early on.
And I'll go one step further. Come May, when they're looking for, they say, well, you would have hosted a regional if you had one more win. How would that loss have looked then? You follow what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right on
How would
it.
that loss have looked then?
Well, it's like basketball too. It's like basketball too. And we'll use South Carolina as an example. Here the Gamecocks are, they're scrambling for every win they can get as they reflect on November and December. I mean, Princeton, Coastal Carolina. Yeah, you win those two. The Clemson loss, considering they were down to only 8 players, they weren't going to beat Clemson that day, being so shorthanded. There was really nothing they could do about it. Maybe they could have won against Princeton, and maybe they could have won against Coastal Carolina, though they were missing players there as well. Those are a couple of losses that they will regret if they come up short once again.
I understand, and I don't even go there for Clemson basketball. Even though we had a big win this week against Wake Forest, we got to understand. A win is a win. I applaud my team for doing that, but Wake Forest just overlooked Clemson. I mean, and I got roasted on by Clemson media for saying that, but that is the truth. That's the darn truth.
Let me throw another piece of wood on that fire. I don't know how you're Wake Forest and you're playing for, seeding and all that, you would go in and just overlook Clemson. I mean, I know you see a Clemson team without P.J. Hall and without Hunter Tyson, and you think, okay, well, we're just going to walk all over these guys. I can't believe that would be the mindset. I can't believe that Coach Forbes and B.J. Mackey and that coaching staff would let those players go in with that kind of mindset. They just caught Clemson on a good night, and they caught a player in Chase Hunter who had an exceptional night, and they just outplayed them.
They also turned the ball over 15 times, and you don't win many ball games when you do that.
You got that right.
But I'm happy for the win, but it's a little bit late. It's a little bit late.
Oh yeah,
if we got time, I'll go into there was a thing in the athletic today that said that last year, Brad Brownell finished 10-6 in the ACC, and he was one and done in the ACC tournament and one and done in the NCAA tournament. And there was so much chatter that Dan Radakovich felt the need to make an announcement that Brad Brownell was coming back. Now this year he's 5-12 in the ACC and probably not going to make postseason at all. So where does that leave Clemson? I know what you said. You give us a pass, but that's just another perspective to look at it.
Yeah, I don't think the new AD would want to do something like that right now. I think, and also up there, Dabo Swinney's a big supporter of Brad Brownell. I don't think you do anything that crosses Dabo Swinney up there. And it's not that kind of it's not a dumpster fire. They're having a bad year. They'll bounce back next year. Brad will have his, it's sort of like Frank Martin this year. He put his nose to the grindstone and they've turned it around big time. I mean, has any team in the country, I'd have to do the research. Pat, maybe you can do the research. Right now, South Carolina is in an 11-game improvement from 6 to 17 wins. Any other team in the country have an 11-game improvement in wins this year?
Maybe Wake Forest.
Maybe Wake Forest. Yeah, we'd have to do that research. Hey, thank you very much. Great hearing from you. We got to hit a break. We're getting up against it. Love hearing from you down there in Hilton Head. We will be down there on Monday. Love going down to the island and hacking it around a little bit. Okay, break here on Sports Talk. We'll come back. If you want to join us, 888-898-2525. Drop in some scores, a few more notes and all that to wrap it up on this Friday night. Be right back.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
You're listening to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. We're back in a moment.
Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible.
Northern Kentucky, tip of the cap, held on to beat Mississippi State 7-6. What is their nickname, Northern Kentucky? Something with horses, maybe? The Racers? No. That's Murray State. What are they? Oh, they are the Norse, the Northern Kentucky Norse, Norse.
Oh, that's cool. So they're the Vikings, essentially.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, so that means you must not like them as a Packers fan.
No, I don't. Anything with, well, of course, I can't say that because my old high school, well, when I came through, it was Red Raiders, but it became Vikings while I was there. But anyway, that's a good win. Good win there for Northern Kentucky. And basketball, Coastal, 13-10 on Little Rock. 10:41 to go in the opening half there down in Little Rock. What else we got? Oh, my alma mater, Harvard, playing. Oh, it's the old Harvard-Princeton. I used to really get fired up, Harvard-Princeton. Back in the day, I always looked down my nose at those Princeton people. Not as smart as we were. 38-36, Harvard over Princeton at the half. And let's see if anything else here. We got a Big Ten game going on, Northwestern over Penn State, 28-22. I want to mention this, too. High school basketball culminating in the next week, and we've got upper and lower state finals now set for the high school leagues conferences. So here's what we got. In 5A boys, the Final Four, they're going to play the semifinals, the state semifinals tomorrow. So up at Bob Jones University at 7:30, it's Malden and Ridgeview. Don't know how many people had Malden in their bracket getting to the finals, but they did upset Dorman. Last second shot. G.G. Jackson being your nightmares tonight, Mavericks. And then in the lower state at the Florence Center, Dutch Fork and Fort Dorchester, the matchup there. Okay. And then let's check on some of these others. We'll get to that in just a moment. I have to get to the right place with the brackets to do this. So we got the 5A boys there. Let's go to the 4A boys bracket. And we've got on March the 1st. This is 4A semifinals on March the 1st. What day is March the 1st? That is on Tuesday. So Tuesday, they don't play till Tuesday. You got Irmo and AC Flora playing at Bob Jones. And you've got Wilson and West Florence playing in Florence. Oh, that should draw a huge crowd. on Tuesday. Wilson and West Florence playing at the Florence Center for the championship of Florence and advancing to the state championship game. That's 4A boys. Let's go to 3A boys. They're going to be playing on the 28th, Monday. So it's Blue Ridge and Keenan at Bob Jones and Oceanside Collegiate and Orangeburg Wilkinson playing in Florence. To the 2A boys brackets. And they'll be playing on the 28th, Monday. Gray Collegiate against Andrew Jackson at Bob Jones. Wade Hampton and York Prep at the Florence Center. You know who the head coach of York Prep is?
Don't tell me.
The one and only Larry Davis.
The Larry Davis?
The Larry Davis.
Wow.
Former Gamecock star. 1A bracket playing on the playing tomorrow in Greenville at Bob Jones. 1A, Great Falls against Calhoun County. Calhoun County coached by Zam Frederick. And Hannah Pamplico against Scotts Branch in Florence. 2 o'clock game. Both those games are at 2 o'clock. Okay. That's it for the boys. Let's go to the girls bracket. The 5A girls bracket looks like this. Playing on Saturday at Bob Jones, Malden against Rock Hill, and in Florence, Sumter against Somerville. In the 4A bracket, and they'll be playing on Tuesday at Bob Jones, West Side Catawba Ridge, Florence, South Florence against North Augusta. Now 3A girls. We have the 3A girls bracket. They'll be playing on Monday at Bob Jones, Southside and Keenan, and in Florence, Camden, and Bishop England. In the 2A bracket. 2A bracket playing on Monday at Bob Jones. It's Christchurch and Landrum. In Florence, it's Silver Bluff and Andrew Jackson. And 1A bracket, and they'll be playing the 1A semifinals tomorrow at Bob Jones. It's High Point Academy. Might be the first time we've seen High Point Academy make it this far. They're playing Denmark Oler. High Point Academy, if I'm not mistaken, that school is on I-26 just outside of Spartanburg. As you cross over 85, like you're heading to Asheville, I think I've seen the signs that said High Point Academy. And then in the lower state, the old standby, Lakeview and Military Magnets. They'll be playing in Florence. All right, that's the rundown for the weekend and carrying over to Monday and Tuesday of the state championship semifinals.
And just real fast, Corn, you mentioning Larry Davis, I'll admit I had no idea he was in coaching. But now from those great teams, Gamecock basketball teams in the late 90s, Larry Davis is coaching. Melvin Watson led South Point to the state championship last season.
Mm-hmm.
BJ Mackey is up at Wake Forest.
Mm-hmm.
That's really impressive. And I'm sure there's other people doing well from that team as well. But that's 3 of the stars of that team all doing well in coaching. Congrats to them.
Yeah, they were just honored, for the LSU weekend.
That's right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was told that I wasn't there. Eddie Fogler didn't come in for whatever reason.
That's unfortunate.
That's too bad. He couldn't make it in to be there with his players, but I'm sure he had a good reason for that. Let's go to Sam in Charleston. Sam, you get the honor of the final call of the week here on Sports Talk. Welcome in.
How you doing, good sir? Hope you guys doing well and staying safe.
We're doing great. Thank you.
Hey, I saw your comment about the Lady Bishops, how they're doing.
The Battling Bishops of Bishop England Lady Bishops?
Yeah, I just let you know that I sent a video request to the team and say good luck to the state finals so we get the W. Can you tell my alma mater say good luck and let's get this state title underway?
Say that one more time.
I would say that I wish my high school, I would send my condolences to the Lady Bishops on the road to victory. What time are they playing and where are they going to be?
The Lady, did I mention them already? The Lady Bishops, so they would be 2A, right?
They're 3A, and they beat Loris. Looks like they beat Loris last night in the third round of the 3A basketball playoffs.
I got it right here. They're going to play Camden. They're going to play Camden on Monday at 5:30 in Florence at the Florence Center. Camden and Bishop, England.
I'm going to watch it.
There you go. Well, wish them well. The Battling Lady Bishops, or the Battling Bishop Ladies, or the Lady Battling Bishops.
Let's go. Yeah,
it's going to be big. Going to be big. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate the phone call.
And on that team, of their 3 graduating players, they had the 3A State Player of the Year in Jaylyn Johnson. So congrats to her as well.
Congratulations. All right. Let's see if there's anything else I want to leave you with here before we say goodbye. Coastal taking care of business. Chris Bergen's saying, let's just call it off. It's 23-10 in the first half, 7:18 to go. All right. That'll do it. Check out the website over the weekend as we cover the baseball and the basketball games. We bring you the post-game comments from the coaches. You can catch it on our website. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Pat, and see you Monday.